Didi really taking a beating. We're we're expecting them to relist in Hong Kong in a few months. But what does this mean?
I think it's really, really sad to see what's going on, but there's a few things that's happening. One is just because they announced that they want to get listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange does not mean that they will get listed. So the original, there's some record that only 20-30% of the rise 100% compliance. Hong Kong listing rules are actually quite vigorous, so it doesn't really mean that they will get listed. But what's really interesting, I think, longer term for Chinese companies, the exit route or strategy probably will actually focus on more Hong Kong. If you look at the BAT, Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent, all of them are actually listed in Hong Kong. And very likely, if we think about ByteDance, which is now valued 400 billion, or companies like Lalamove, there's a lot of really interesting Chinese companies probably won't get listed in the US anymore. And especially if you think about Chinese companies are really walking on the eggshell. To please Chinese government, to please US government, they really sort of get caught in between. And now slowly more of center of the universe for exit will be Hong Kong.
So how many more companies do you think we're going to see this happen to?
It's hard to say. I think particularly Didi, because there's so much the transportation data, sensitive data. So what's going on? Didi is particularly very, and by the way, even though what's going on in the stock market, they still have 70-80% of the market share in terms of ride sharing in China. So I think we'll see more and more Chinese companies, if not getting delist, at least get dual listing in Hong Kong so to spread the risk. But we're talking about hundreds of Chinese companies that is listed in US on New York Stock Exchange, or on NASDAQ. So it's going to be quite a number of companies. 2022, there will be really interesting to see what's going to happen.
What does that mean for the valuation of these companies? Are you expecting to see Didi take a huge valuation haircut?
Well, just to begin with, since June, they were listed at around $14 and already dropped more than half. I think today is between $6 to $7. So it's already dropped quite a bit. And historically, a lot of the Chinese companies really would prefer get listed in the US because the US sort of the retail investor really understand tech. They have a bigger appreciation. And a lot of times, Hong Kong particularly really require companies to be profitable. So I think that valuation would get impacted more or less is because we see like the Alphabet and the Meta of the world is all listed in the US. But yeah, it will definitely impact in terms of valuation for many Chinese companies.
How is this impacting the choices you're making and decisions to invest in one company or another, a company that crosses borders or a China-focused company?
I think, regardless, I'm still very bullish on China as a whole. This is the second largest economy in the world. It is a parallel universe now, not only for internet, but also in terms of stock market exit. Having said that, there's still like great venture fund like Sequoia, Qualcomm, Matrix Partner, all these guys are still actively investing in China. So I don't think is a market that we cannot ignore this market, but I think we need to be very, very careful and think twice when a company, there's really no true cross-border company per se other than ByteDance. But as an investor, if you want to invest in Chinese companies, you just need to think about longer term exit probably will not be in the US, but rather be in Hong Kong.
We were just speaking about cryptocurrency earlier, and I know you're an investor in crypto as well. We've seen a lot of volatility. We've seen a sell-off, especially at the end of this pretty roller coaster week. What's your take on what we're going to see through the rest of the year and trends you're watching into next year?
I'm excited about crypto, raise capital, really focus on investing in infrastructure software, regardless as enterprise, Web3, data. On crypto, I think a few predictions, just to begin with, for the last 4 or 5 years I've been in crypto, I see 3 crash, and usually that happened early in the year, probably January or February, that will be another crash, but it's typical, another day in crypto. But what's really interesting, I think, in the last 2 years, right now, combined crypto market cap is 250 billion. And I think that will continue to rise. 2.5 trillion. So in that sense, and that's growth from 250 billion in 2019. My prediction is probably will go up to 3 trillion. And then on top of that, probably I think there will be a crash for Bitcoin before it go up to 100,000. I'm counting on that. And then also, we're very active in the DeFi space. Right now, it's about 100 billion in total lock value, TVL. My guess will get to at least 200 billion. I'm very excited about that. And then my also guess is prediction will be maybe China will turn around in terms of Bitcoin mining, but it will be highly regulated. And hopefully, Jamie Dimon will turn around and provide custody solution for his customers.
Those are quite some predictions, Edith. We appreciate them. You mentioned the China crackdown. Do you think that regulation, a regulatory crackdown in the United States could slow that down? Could mean some of your predictions won't come true?
Well, I think in my head is a great thing that U.S. is trying to regulate. I think longer term is a great thing for retail investors. I think all projects should be compliant and abide by KYC, AML is a really great thing longer term, because regulation to me is a blessing of this industry and it's here to stay.